Hello, college writing students. What you are seeing is the screen of my computer at home, and which just went black. This is to substitute for what would happen if we were together in the classroom, where I would be projecting the academic style exercise onto the board, and we would talk through that. So I'm just going to show you and talk about some of the corrections that most of you made. And I'm holding the iPad by hand, so I hope it won't wiggle too much. Anyway, bear with me and send questions. So Esquire is the name of a magazine, and that means that it should be italicized. I think one of you got that. I was perhaps sneaky in the directions I asked you, not only for academic style, but also for correct use of source material. So by that, I had in mind things like quotation marks and how they're punctuated, and titles and other things related to sources. Remember that when we're dealing with source material, we use present tense. So asserted should be asserts. Or some other present tense verb. A train car that is way too hot. Here, I need to move my keyboard into position here. Way too hot is a pretty casual expression. And you could change it to overly warm or maybe just too hot. But not way too hot. So let's get rid of way. Trying to get my iPad into better position here for continuing. All right. Way Too Hot, or a movie that is slightly out of focus and observes that nobody whines about the need for correction of these problems. Whines is another just conversational, casual kind of word. So let's change that to complains. About the need for correction of these problems. He also admits that he himself hesitates to complain, and that when he does, he's pretty likely to just explode. That word just is one that we use just too much. And it's not academic, and it's just not very precise in general. So I'm going to get rid of it. We could stay with explode, though some of you probably substituted that for something less dramatic. He speculates that this apathy stems from our increasing reliance on technical specialists. Problems that we once would have taken care of ourselves, we now hand off to experts. Hand off is a little bit casual, but I think it's on the line, and I didn't consider it an error if you kept that there. And we fail to distinguish between issues that really need professional attention and those that we could, deal with. I'm inclined to get rid of the word really, because it's also kind of casual, but it's another borderline situation, so I didn't mark that as an error. But if you left that's just clearly casual, and it needs to go. Similarly, Buckley argues we relinquish more and more power to the multi-headed monster of our centralized political system. Multi-headed monster, that's pretty dramatic. I would just say to our centralized political system and get rid of the metaphor, fun as it may be. He concludes by describing a visit to the United States in 1959 by Nikita Khrushchev, premier of the Soviet Union, whom Buckley says is a hashtag tyrant. Hashtag. We're not going to use that in academic writing. And all of you got rid of that. Thank you. Khrushchev, he says, was braced like a hockey goalie for a storm of protests. This is what is known as a mixed metaphor because it mixes a hockey metaphor with a storm metaphor. Let's just say braced for a storm of protests. Even that is arguably a little bit too dramatic for academic writing, but we don't have to make this stuff totally dry, so we can leave that. And it's a pretty, mainstream kind of metaphor, but we don't need a dramatic one or a mixed one. But there were only a few posters. It may be crazy, Buckley said, but I say there would have been lots more posters in a society where train temperatures in the dead of winter are not allowed to climb up to 85 degrees without complaint. Lots more posters, and I may be crazy, are both conversational, but that's a quote, so we don't change that. But we do want to put the period inside of the quotation marks at the end. Okay, and that is it.